Hi there and welcome to Gaining Vision. I'm Melanie. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please take a second, hit subscribe, and don't forget to like and share. Advocacy is a very big buzzword nowadays. It's important to be able to advocate for ourselves and for things that we feel strongly about. For years and years, people have advocated for the rights of individuals with disabilities. It is so very important that we make sure that we be able to advocate in a positive way. Advocacy has led to amazing things, from the ending of institutions to allowing and encouraging employers to hire people with disabilities, but also for accessible transportation and making sure that things are accessible as a whole. It's taken many, many years and many efforts of many people to make sure that this advocacy has come full circle to allow for things to happen in a positive way. So I thought we'd talk about some positive ways of advocating and some not so positive ways, because let's face it, we all advocate on a daily basis for ourselves or for somebody else. So advocacy is being able to explain or present an opinion or a thought that of something you feel is right, to allow change to happen if something is being wronged. So for example, for years, people with disabilities were told that they should be, or we were told that they should be put in institutions. They should be hidden, not seen. Well, after years of advocating, that changed clearly. And now our societies are inclusive and not segregated anymore. But that took a lot of people who are passionate about the rights of individuals with disabilities to take action legally, as well as amongst the community and with families and different things. The first time you usually learn to advocate is probably as a child, where your parents tell you to stand up for yourself when you're being bullied, or if you feel strongly about something, or you need something, you need to ask for it. I don't know about you, but I remember being a little kid starting from pointing at what you wanted when you couldn't verbalize it, to then saying want, or that, or just symbol words that just expressed what you wanted. Slowly but surely, my parents raised me to say please and thank you and ask appropriately and politely for things. And that's an aspect of advocacy that we want to make sure that we do use, is being polite and asking for what we want in a positive way. However, with advocacy, you have to be firm. You have to be assertive, not aggressive, assertive. And that's the difference. A lot of people think advocacy is the louder you yell, the further you'll get. The louder you talk, or the more strong the words you use, the more strong your message will be. And that could be true in some situations, but the reality is advocacy is actually an art of persuading people to see things in a positive way, seeing things in the way you want them to. So let's again go back to using the situation with individuals with disabilities and work. So people should hire people with disabilities because of their abilities and their talents, as we talked about in one of my previous episodes. But not everybody sees it that way. They see people with disabilities that they should stay home. They don't need to work. They should have fun, play games, do things like that, and just enjoy their life. But the reality is, people with disabilities want more. So it started with probably a very core group of individuals with disabilities knowing that their right to work was being hindered on because people were not seeing them for their abilities. So they started to talk more, and they started to show their concerns to others, some of their allies and their people that became their advocates. And the group of them got together and talked about what this would look like. So they put a plan in place of what the ideal situation would be. And once a plan was in place, then they started to talk about the messaging. And messaging is key when you're advocating for something. You need to know, first of all, what it is you're asking for. Now, people with disabilities were not asking to take over the world. They were asking to be included in something that everybody else was included in. So being seen for their abilities, not their disability, and also being looked at the skill sets they had, just like any other potential employee. So if their resume shows the strong skills of their counterpart, but they happen to have a disability, they should still be considered for that job. And the same thing with accessible transportation. People with disabilities wanted the right to be able to take public transit. So the buses had the steps to get up on them, so they just were not accessible to somebody in a wheelchair. So again, a group of individuals with disabilities talked to some people, their allies, their community, who then became their allies and saw what they were trying to ask for was actually legitimate and would actually help so many more people, not just individuals with disabilities, but by having a ramp on a bus that will allow somebody with a stroller or a buggy for grocery shopping. They saw the bigger picture. They saw how it would help everybody. So although the individual issue of having accessible buses started from a group of people with disabilities, it ultimately helped the community as a whole. When you can advocate effectively and get people to buy into what you're standing for and join your cause, the more voices you have, the bigger and wider you can spread your message. So advocating for yourself is having a clear message for something, righting a wrong, or solving a solution to a problem that perhaps is creating a barrier. So in schools, it could be that some students need extra support. So perhaps there's a special education program in the school, or perhaps it's an educational assistant in the class. Whatever that particular student needs, the parents would advocate for that, or the teacher would advocate for that, because it's the right thing to do and it will help change that individual's life and the success of them. Now, a lot of people feel advocating should be about petitions and getting strength behind it. And that is part of it, because you know what? Let's face it, a lot of politicians look at the amount of people that are buying into the idea, and that may sway them. Whereas other times, people feel advocating for something they feel strongly about is, again, about yelling and screaming and being aggressive in what they want and their demands. The reality is, unfortunately, people tend to shut down and don't listen when they're being attacked, whether it's with words or feeling as they're being attacked by the volume of your voice. So it's a kind of a even keel. So yes, there's some things you have to be assertive. You need to say, this needs to change because of X, Y, and Z. Or if we change this, then these doors are opened up. This barrier is taken down. Advocating takes time, it takes tact, and it also takes passion. If I was to go and advocate for something, I would want to stay calm, but I'd also want the people I was advocating for to understand how dedicated I was to that cause. And the people I was going to advocate to for the change to happen, I'd want them to see the importance of the cause to me, because then, again, it's sort of contagious. They want to buy into it. Having your case, well, not only messaging, but the case, whether it's a business case or an actual situational case, to present to the people that you're taking this information to is vital. You need to have some statistics, you may have to have some examples, some benefits, maybe a cost analysis. Sometimes it's a very complicated situation to advocate, and other times it's just to speak up on behalf of somebody. I've advocated for a lot of my clients when they've gone into a new scenario for learning or for employment, and they just needed somebody else to speak on their behalf because they felt that they weren't being heard. This is unfortunately sometimes where advocacy, when it's not self-advocacy but by other people, can become the voice of somebody else instead of you. So by learning to advocate for yourself, it is ultimately the best possible thing as an individual with a disability, or anybody that feels that they're being wronged. It could be something in the workplace, it could be something at home, it could be in the school system. But standing up for what you feel is right and that you feel a wrong is being happened, you look at the Human Rights Commission and the Human Rights Tribunal that are out there to say that these things, people have the right to do this. They have the right freedom of speech as long as they're not being hateful. They have the right to practice any religion they want. And a lot of groups of individuals, when they feel their rights are being stomped on, they will advocate. And the more effective we advocate, the better we're being heard. Advocacy becomes a big part of our lives every single day because, unfortunately, in this world, it's an ongoing battle. As much as we go forward, something happens, we have to take 10 steps back. So advocacy is a lifelong journey, and it's unfortunate. But if we as individuals start to self-advocate for ourselves and then find a cause we're very passionate about, that we feel that a wrong is happening, we will slowly start to make change. But it takes time, tact, and really positive messaging. Even when the situation is a negative one, like barriers being put up. Although it's totally wrong, we have to just approach it in a very positive way and shed light on what solutions are available. When we have a solution, instead of just focusing on the problem, people are more likely to hear us. So what have you advocated for in your life? For yourself or for somebody else? Do you think about all the stuff that's going on in our world right now? Where can you get involved and advocate for someone or for yourself? Advocacy, as I mentioned, is a long battle, and it will continue to have to happen every day of our lives. And we need to teach our children about advocacy and about people that we know, about how to advocate for ourselves and others effectively. Because if we all start to do this in a positive way, then change can actually be something that can be realized in our lifetime. I encourage you all to advocate for yourself, to make sure your messaging and what you're trying to accomplish is clear in your mind, as well as clear to the person you're advocating with. When you're talking to a group of people, whether it's a small group or a large group, have yourself heard by keeping positive, having a solution, and keeping a smile on your face. Advocacy can take us all far, and I encourage us all to do it. Until next time, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like and share, and see you next time.